This is episode number 203. Video games are a huge business, and there's a lot that your business can learn from them. I'm talking about Minecraft on this episode.
This is the Red Podcast, the marketing podcast for influencers. Rise above the noise. Expand your audience. Deliver impact. Here's your host, David Hooper.
Check this out. I want to play a voicemail message that I just got.
For 3 years now, I've made, on average, $30,000 per month by simply letting the automated calling system you are hearing right now make calls for me. Due to this model, I only work less than 2 hours per day to achieve this income. Now, I don't expect you to believe this blindly, so I have copies of the checks I've earned that you can take a look at once you've reviewed the program. In order to review the program, I need you to first go through a short 20-minute business summary call. Once you've listened to the call, you can just leave a message at the end, and I will call you back personally to answer any of your questions and to send you the website and my income proof. To continue, just call back the phone number you see on your caller ID to connect to our business summary line, which will explain our products, pay plan, and real results. Again, call the number you see on your caller ID. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the call, and we'll connect soon.
So this dude got no idea how he got my number, calls me up with some kind of automated dialing apparatus, leaves a big, long message, and he starts asking for a lot. I don't know him from the next guy. It's an opportunity that from the short message that he left on my machine seems to require some kind of investment. Yet, before he's going to show me proof that what he's offering me actually works and is actually a legitimate opportunity, he wants me to call and listen to a 20-minute presentation. That's quite an ask for somebody who doesn't even call you personally, doesn't personalize the message that he's leaving you, and more or less that you have no information on. This example is exactly what I was talking about on the last episode when I talk about doing 90% of the work and how that doesn't cut it. Only completing the work, doing 100% of it, gets you the results that you want. This dude found my number. This guy is calling me. It's not perfect, but he's calling me and leaving me a message. He's got everything set up so he can take money for the system that he's got. Yet he's stopping 10% short with, one, a bad offer that makes me work way too hard to find out what he's selling, and two, a non-personal approach. Only doing 100% of the work, everything that you need to do to complete the job, gets you the results that you want. This is the Red Podcast, the podcast for influencers. If you're a blogger, podcaster, speaker, marketer, nonfiction author, or entrepreneur, this is the podcast for you. I talk about the things that will spread your message and make you money. Book publishing, podcasting, speaking, and other marketing elements of your business that you must master to grow and engage your audience. That's what RED stands for. Reach, expand, and develop your audience. In short, I show you how to take your idea, take your work, make a name for yourself, and make money. If you're going to do 100% of the work, you need to get 100% of the money, and it needs to be 100% of the time. That's why I recommend FreshBooks. Using FreshBooks, it only takes about 30 seconds to create and send an invoice. It's time for you to upgrade that tired old template that you've been printing out via Word, filling everything out individually. FreshBooks automates all of this. And the part I really love about this is there are no more lost invoices, no more checks in the mail excuses. You can see when your invoice has been received, and there's a button on it that lets the client pay you immediately. The money that you're owed gets taken straight from their credit card and deposited directly into your bank account. It is easy to get paid with FreshBooks, and right now FreshBooks is offering a free month of unrestricted use to all Red Podcast listeners, totally free right now. You don't even need a credit card for the trial. To claim your free month, go to freshbooks.com/red and enter RED in the How Did You Hear About Us section. On this episode, I'm talking about the video game Minecraft. Right now, if you go to the App Store, you'll see that Minecraft is the #1 game. It has been that way for years, making millions upon millions for its creators. I've got a confession to make, though. I have never, ever played Minecraft. I've got no desire to play Minecraft. The last game that I played, I got sucked into the Simpsons Tapped Out game. Man, that thing is like crack. My sister-in-law, she tells me, hey, you like The Simpsons? You should check out this tapped out game. I start building my Springfield. Whew, it was bad. I found myself like a rat on morphine. I kept going back to my iPad, tap, 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 looking for that hit. Things got so bad I had to delete the program from my iPad entirely, go into some kind of detox. I'm never going back. I think that Minecraft will be the same way, looking at the numbers. 106 million copies sold, 40 million unique players every month. It is the best-selling PC game ever and the second best-selling video game of all time. Number one, a game I actually do play, Tetris. In 2014, Microsoft bought Minecraft and its intellectual property for $2.5 billion. And on this episode, I'm talking about the lessons that you can learn from Minecraft. The first one, substance over style. Even if you've never played Minecraft, you're probably familiar with the blocky graphics. It's like something a kid could do. And a kid, strangely enough, actually did program Minecraft. Just a teenager invented this thing. Now he's a billionaire because of it. But big blocks over fancy graphics. And they could have changed the format. They could have done all sorts of things to fancy it up, get it up to speed with the crazy graphics that we have available to us today because of these advanced video game processors. Nope. Looks like something out of a Commodore 64 from 1985. It is primitive. But substance is what people want. You know, iPad games, iPhone games as well, are a great example of substance over style. A lot of the most popular games, Flappy Bird, Tiny Wings, substance over style is dominating the video game charts when it comes to mobile apps, Android, iPhone, iPad. Substance over style will dominate in your business. I went to go see Malcolm Gladwell speak maybe a year, 18 months ago. And if you've read Malcolm Gladwell's books, Tipping Point, Outliers, What the Dog Saw, great books. This guy is an amazing writer. Not such an amazing speaker. But because he's Malcolm Gladwell, because he's great at telling a story, we go see him. I'd rather watch this guy than a lot of polished speakers. You've seen these very charismatic preachers on TV, the motivational type speakers, the sales type speakers. Great when it comes to stage presence. Great when it comes to no filler words, so, you know. They have the technique down, but they don't have the substance down. People want substance. We are in a very shallow world. You get on Facebook, what do you see? Cat photos, selfies, inspirational quotes that mean absolutely nothing if people don't take action on them. We're a very shallow world, and people are looking for substance to counteract that. You give people substance, the production values don't matter. Coming from the entertainment business, I saw this all the time. All the time. Great songwriter doesn't need this fancy production. Just a great song, 6-string guitar, and a voice that doesn't have to be perfect, but the words are there, the emotion is there, that kind of connection is there. That's enough. Substance over style. That's one of the ways that Minecraft has won the video game war. Speaking of entertainment, here's something else that Minecraft is doing right. If you look at a traditional entertainment performance, you're going to see two things when you go into the venue. One, you're going to see the performers up on a stage, and you're going to see a segmentation and a demarcation point, and then there's the audience. People sitting there passively watching performers. In the 70s, the most popular type of music, disco music. Now, why was disco music popular? It wasn't lyrical substance, so it wasn't the first thing that Minecraft has going for it. A lot of the stuff is super shallow. It's about drugs. It's about fashion. It's about fancy French words that Americans have no idea what they were listening to. But why disco worked is because people would dance to it. And those people, they became the stars of their own show. Minecraft does the same thing. The player becomes the star. The player is in charge of his own world, and the Minecraft game is flexible enough to where the player does whatever he wants with it. If he wants to battle people, he can battle people. If he wants to be competitive, he can be competitive. If he wants to be creative, he can be creative with it. The player becomes the star. As influencers, we have the exact same opportunity to do this via social media. It's no longer us broadcasting to an audience. It's us having a conversation with an audience. When you listen to Red Podcast at the very end of every episode, what do? Reach out to me. I'm at David Hooper on Twitter. I want your questions, comments, suggestions, ideas for future episodes. It's an interactive thing. If you call me, much like the guy did at the very beginning of this episode, I play those messages. Not all of them, but it's interactive. I get those messages. I receive them. You become part of the creation process. You got to bring your audience in. Nobody wants somebody who's up on a hill and doesn't listen. People want their own voice. We live in a different culture than we did 20 or 30 years ago, where people were used to sitting in front of a TV and watching other people live their lives, where people were reading books, reading newspapers, reading magazines made by other people. It was impossible for you to have your own newspaper. It was impossible for you to have your own book. Not so anymore. It's very easy. Anybody can do it. People want more interaction. How can you give that to your audience? One way, same thing that I'm doing. Ask for feedback and incorporate that feedback into what you're doing. You know, not 20 years ago, not 30 years ago, but 40 years ago, when I was a kid who watched TV, Saturday morning cartoons especially, there was a series of commercials that came out, and they went a little something like this.
Peanut butter.
Chocolate. You got peanut butter in my chocolate.
Well, you got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Bravissimo.
Two great tastes that taste great together. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Real milk chocolate. Good old-fashioned peanut butter.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Every kid who grew up in the 70s knows that series of commercials. They went on well into the 80s. The one that I just played from 1970. Hey, you got your peanut butter in my chocolate. That was a big mistake. But if you believe that story, what happened? Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Accidents. Sometimes the best things come from accidents. I had it happen to my hair one time. Back when I was a musician, when I was doing DJ work, used to dye my hair. Not like covering gray kind of dye in hair, but all sorts of crazy colors. There's a company called Manic Panic. Pink, purple, blue, yellow, bleach blonde. I've done it all. And one time, something went wrong with the Manic Panic. And I was in a restaurant, and I've got pink, purple, some kind of crazy hair, maybe 2 or 3 colors at once. And I had a guy walk up to me. He goes, "Oh, man, I love your hair. This is so cool. How did you get that color?" And I was like, "Well, it was an accident." He goes, "The best things usually are." I've thought about that interaction a lot because it's true, and it happened for Minecraft. There's something called creative mode. I talked about it. If you can build it, you can imagine it. Minecraft started as a competition game. But what would happen if you took away all the competition and you go back to that 1985 Commodore 64 style graphic and you said you can build anything you want with these blocks? That's exactly what happened with Minecraft. What they call creative mode was put there as an afterthought. Nobody thought anything about creative mode, but that's what turned Minecraft into the powerhouse that it is. People loved creative mode. Sometimes those accidents, those things you just throw against the wall, that's what works. Don't be afraid to try new things. Something that's very interesting about Minecraft, and this is something that does not happen often in video games, not for specific video games. You're not going to see it with Simpsons Tapped Out. You're not going to see it with my old favorite, Dig Dug. That's the live event. Getting people together offline. That is where real connection begins, especially if you have some kind of competitive or cooperative element. And Minecraft has both. It got people in the same room. They have these Minecraft conventions. Everybody dresses like that block guy that you see on the front of Minecraft. And people love it. They make real offline relationships. And because of these relationships, you're more engaged with the game itself. That's how things work. When your friend is going to a conference, you're more likely to go because you want to share that experience with your friend. And you as an influencer, somebody who speaks, has his own live events, you can take advantage of this same thing. If you've got somebody coming to your event, he's got friends that would love to participate just because he's participating. That's how you win people over. That's how real connection is made. It's great to podcast. It's great to write blog posts. It's great to have videos on YouTube. But when people can do all of these things at once, through not just watching you online or listening to you online, but actually watching you, actually listening to you, being able to reach out and touch you, being able to smell you, using all of their senses all at once, that is where real connection is made. Hit as many senses as you can and bring other people into the fold. A fifth and final lesson that you can learn from Minecraft is that content has value. What doesn't have value? Format. Formats change. Minecraft, best-selling PC game of all time, but it's also available on iPhone, iPad, Xbox, Android. If there is a format to play video games, Minecraft is on it. This podcast wouldn't have been available 20 years ago. Broadcast radio was the only opportunity that I would have to reach you like this. And it wouldn't have been very good because you would have had to tune in at a very specific time, in a very specific location, close to a big radio tower. But basically, it's the same content. Formats change. Podcasting, because of its flexibility and ease of distribution, it's better than broadcast radio. Television is now YouTube. Vinyl records became cassettes, which became 8-tracks, which became CDs, which became digital compact cassettes, which became mini discs, which became MP3s. Same stuff on it. Think of your content, your stuff, like water. You've got all these different glasses. One glass goes out of style, move your water to the next glass. That glass goes out of style, move your water to another glass. Your content is what's valuable, not the glass people drink it out of. If you want to really energize that concept, what you do is put your content on multiple formats. This podcast, it's transcribed. Google finds it. You can read it. This podcast, it goes on YouTube. You can watch it. The outline for this podcast becomes a blog post. A blog post becomes a podcast. Repurposing your content, putting it out in different formats, that's powerful. Deaf people can't listen to this podcast. Let's make something for them. Blind people can't watch a video. Let's make something for them. Some people don't know how to read. Let's make something for them. Your content distribution methods should be diverse because content is what has value. The format that you put that content in, or the one distribution method that you're using, it's valuable now, but it's going to change. The content never changes. Next episode, I'm going to get a little personal. I'm going to talk about my marriage and why I did not sign a prenup. Last episode, I talked about getting married for the very first time at 41 years old. My wife is 10 years younger. Both of us were successful business people. Laurel ran an art gallery. She had a series of retail stores of ecologically friendly clothing. She's got a successful coaching school. Me, I'd had my success as a music production person. Talked about on the very last episode. 300 audiobook titles, over 100 published books that I was part of the marketing team for. And me personally, just books with my name on them as the author. I've sold over 240,000 books independently. Now, why would somebody walk into a legal contract where you could lose a big chunk of that if things go wrong? I'm going to tell you that. Why I didn't get a prenup on the next episode of Red Podcast. If you got questions or comments, reach out to me at David Hooper on Twitter. That's the best way to do it. Ideas for future episodes, something that I didn't cover, reach out to me at David Hooper on Twitter. And to subscribe to make sure you never miss an episode of Red Podcast. RedPodcast.com is the place to do it. One click, no matter how you get your podcast. I'm going to get you set up in one click. Android, iPhone, Overcast. However you get your podcast, I'm getting you hooked up at RedPodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for helping to build the Red Podcast community. I'll see you on the next episode of Red Podcast.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, the marketing podcast for influencers. Never miss an episode. Subscribe now with your iPhone, Android, or via RSS at redpodcast.com. Your content just... Ugh.